Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents The House of Rugby, Season 3.
Hello. Thanks very much for joining us. We have an absolutely packed out show for you. We're going to be heading to France to talk about the COVID situation. We're going to visit somebody in Wales who is the youngest centurion. You probably guessed it by now. And we'll be speaking to a ref as well about what happened at the weekend. So we've got 3 guests and 2 House of Rugby regulars. We have Sean O'Brien back for more. Apparently this is what the people want. They've been writing in their 6s and 7s, although most postmarks are actually from Tullow, so we're a little bit suspicious about that one. And we have our very own Triple Crown winner, Jonathan Davis. Foxy, congratulations. It was never in doubt, was it? Never in doubt.
No, never in doubt. It was, it was an interesting game. And no, it was a good result. And I'm sure we'll dive into it a bit later. But celebrations weren't quite as they normally were. But all in all, it was...
What were the celebrations?
Sunday had some... I put on my Instagram a couple of beers in the front garden with the wife and played...
Oh, I saw
and played Monopoly Deal, which was as rock and roll as it gets these days. So, no, it was different, but, you got to... it was weird in the change rooms after. Like, it was like, because we all left our cars there, boys would just have a beer and drive home, It wasn't a case of like...
It's going to be pretty weird, though, after winning a game like you did. Like, you absolutely robbed poor old England of the game, so...
There was no robbery at all. It was, but no, good win, and keep on moving now. Look forward to the next game.
Sean, a good win for Irish at the weekend?
Oh, we're on the warpath now, aren't we?
You're rolling now, aren't you?
We've started to win a few. Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it was good. It was a battle down in Wasps, and we kind of knew Wasps hadn't played very well in the last few weeks, but they turned up with their D at the weekend, so it was good. It was a good win for us. They probably defended as well as they have all season against us, and yeah, we battled it out and got there in the end again. So we're improving, and it's boys are happy with the way we're going, thankfully. So can't complain. No dodgy ref decisions, mind you.
Well, it was a weekend filled with controversy. We had England Rugby and the WRU having to put out statements after players received a lot of online abuse, even death threats, and referees were also in the firing line. Let's bring in international ref JP Doyle. JP, thanks for joining us. How are you?
No worries. Great to be here. Kids locked up in the bedroom, so we're happy for the night.
Peace and quiet until Sean turns up.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, JP, you hardly have a Welsh jersey that the boys gave you, because I heard Pascal has a lovely test match jersey now after the weekend. So.
Yeah. Man of the match. No, I don't normally let the camera see this, but I had to switch around because the light, that's my World Cup jersey from the Tunisia versus Uganda game.
Foxy, we're obviously going to focus quite a lot on your match because that's where some of the controversial decisions were made. On the field, what did you make of the, let's start at the beginning, the first one?
Well, the first one was a strange one because I was one of the players lined up, looking to maybe go quickly. Biggsy gave me the heads up, excuse me, and then I made Josh aware to be ready because he was taking on water, and then the ref blows the whistle, and next thing you know, I see Biggsy kicking. I'm just running into the corner looking for the tap down, maybe getting to put it down, but... Yeah, it was just right. Take the try and run back, and then the second one, it just didn't. I don't know. It when you see it happen, it was like that didn't seem like a try. It just didn't look right. And then again, when the decision was made, it was like, right, take that one and don't give them another in. It wasn't a case of...
Don't fuck this up.
It's
been gifted 2 tries.
Don't mess this one up because we won't get many like this very often. But, I think it's sometimes you get the rub of the green, and we definitely had the rub of the green on Saturday. It was, and obviously a lot of talking about it afterwards.
And JP, when you're watching a match like that, I imagine you see it through sort of different eyes. You're sitting there as a rugby fan, but you must have a little bit of possibly sympathy. Is that the right word for Pascal in that situation?
Yeah, it's a real two-sided coin. You know stuff like this is going to happen. So if there's 50 games, there are going to be incidents, good, bad, indifferent incidents. You just hope it's not your game. You pray that big thing, but you don't want it to happen to anyone else. You're just delighted when it's not you. And you're a bit sickened when it is you. It's a bit like dropping the ball over the goal line, or, we've all done stupid stuff. But yeah, I've been in those. It's sometimes you just get a bit tunnel vision, but watching it's a lot easier to watch it sitting down going, Christ, and it is the feeling, Christ, thank God that's not me.
Do you think JP, with the the video ref, the ARs, everything now, like how did they get it wrong at the weekend? What process did it?
The video where they ask you to count how many basketball passes there are in 20 seconds. And that they ask everyone at the end how many, and the guy goes 7, and the other guy goes 11, and someone else says 15, and someone says, well, what color was the bear? And there was a bear moving, dancing through the middle of the court, through the whole thing, but you're focused on the ball being passed, and you don't see the bear at all. So when you're being the referee, if you get focused on completely the wrong thing, you miss everything else that's important. And that will be largely what happens. Sometimes you can be a little bit cowed into, oh my God, I've made a big mistake. How the hell do I get out of this? And I think you might have seen a bit of that. But it's like saying to anyone, how did you make that mistake? How did you miss that turning when there's a big blue sign telling you to come off the motorway? When you're just not looking at the right thing, or you focus on the wrong thing, mistakes happen. That's why they're mistakes. That's why we don't mean to do them. Players don't mean to make them either. And I think it's more, not when a player drops a ball or misses a touch or whatever, because they're skill errors really, aren't they? But when you just don't see there's a 5-man overlap in front of you or something, because you're just focused on the wrong thing, I think that's a better explanation.
Yeah, I know. I can relate to that 5-man overlap, because I remember playing against Bath years ago, and it was in the Heineken Cup, and I swear to God, I thought I was going to get lynched afterwards. It was actually a 5v1. I carried the ball. Never again. Never. That was my one and only time, because I remember Czech saying to me afterwards, if you ever something like that up again on us, he said, I'm going to tear up your contract. So yeah, I can understand. And then afterwards I was trying to think, what was I actually thinking in that moment? And I was like, I had the blinkers on, obviously. So maybe that's the way the referees go. Hopefully they don't go like that too often.
It's just the whole house falls in on you. That's the reality of the situation. You don't mean to make the mistakes, and immediately afterwards. There's a big telly showing you made a mistake. I know that.
I reckon as well. That's why I told you it wasn't binned during that game.
There is an element. There is an element of, I don't think it told you in itself, but I don't think there was any glaring example in that game. But I do know when I've made my biggest errors. This is a story I've told a few times. I was doing a European Cup game in Clermont. Foxy, I think it was before you arrived. You might have been there, actually. It was the one they lost where Para tapped and went. Do you remember? Were you there for that? Lost at home against Bordeaux.
Didn't
qualify.
I actually played in that. Yeah, I did.
So, right, it was a crazy game, and Bordeaux were doing really well at the start. Yeah. Really, really well. Scoring lots of tries. I was going, oh my God, Clermont never lose at home. What the hell? This is not going to go well for me if they lose at home. They never lose at home. Bordeaux were doing really well. They decided on a 5-meter line out to do a non-compete defence where they all step away. Now, you'll see teams do this, but no one in their right mind does it on their goal line. But the French, they might do it on their goal line. So they do it on the goal line, and they send Sekope Kepu, the London Irish boy, around the corner. I think he's just left now, but around the corner to take the ball out of the maul. So I penalised him thinking it was already a maul, and I yellow card him for, it's a maul, it's a clear stupid error, you're 5 minutes from your goal line, I'm yellow carding. And they started shouting at me in French. My French is okay, and they started telling me it was a non-compete line out. And I was like, what are they saying? Non-compete? Oh, uh-oh. And I looked at the screen as Cope was running off, and they showed the replay of how they had done a non-compete line out and the ball was through touch and I had screwed up. And I was thinking, oh no. So Bordeaux were winning by 20 points at this stage. 7 minutes later, John Fox Davies has scored a hat-trick and Clermont are winning. And I'm going, oh no, the yellow card has happened. 3 tries later, Claremont going to win. Joe Worsley standing on the sideline, and he's going to crush my skull. He's going to get his hands and he's going to crush my skull. I know that's going to happen. So anyway, the game goes on back and forth. Bordeaux do really well, and they get back in front. All Claremont had to do to advance was get 2 points. They had scored 4 tries. Sorry, they scored 3 tries, and they were within a couple of points. All they need to do is, they were 8 points down. They couldn't win the game. All they need to do is chip a penalty over. I gave them a penalty in front of the sticks. Parra tapped and went, dived over the goal line, knocked the ball on, and Claremont were out of the European Cup. The funny thing is, they give you a wheel of cheese in the dressing room in France after the game. So I come in before the game, it's a nice wheel of cheese present, little bow on it before the game. The towels are there, the fruits are there. I came in 1 minute after I blew the final whistle. There was no cheese, there was no towels, there was no fruit. Someone had gone into my dressing room and taken it all out and just left me with nothing. You can shower in the cold, you can do what you want, even though it was Morgan Parra's fault. And that's France for you.
It's never Morgan's fault. That was the thing in Claremont. It was never Morgan's fault.
No. I always got on
But
very well with him.
JP,
He was a good guy to keep on your side.
You're explaining very honestly that situation, and we talk about Pascal Gauzier, and then a lot of the time we're hearing that, you know, being a ref isn't an isolated job. You're part of a team, you have a TMO, there are partnerships that go from game to game. Is that naive to think like that? Will the referee always carry the can? Will the referee always have a good game or a bad game, and then all of a sudden you forget about his part of the team?
So there's sort of two parts to that answer. One, I'd say, is if I'm refereeing, I'm the captain of the ship. It's my plane, it's my boat, whatever it is. If I crash it, it's my problem. No matter who crashes it, no matter who else's mistake, if I'm in the middle, I got to take responsibility. That's my ship for the day. And if it comes home the Costa Cordia and I run it on the rocks, I don't care who's driving, it's your fault. So that's just life, and you got to get on with it. Second, all about referees having a good game and bad game. I have been absolutely pony in some games, and it's been 52-48, right? And no one noticed. No one knew I was rubbish because it was a great game of rugby. I have been refereeing out of my skin in a 6-3 game, and everyone says, well, it was a terrible game, the ref was terrible. So it's very rare you can link the two things together. And I remember I had to referee an Ireland game just before the 2015 World Cup. And it was kind of my audition to go to the World Cup. And it was against Georgia. And Ireland picked a reasonably strong side, strong enough to beat Georgia. But I knew a lot of the Georgians, and they were coached by Michael Bradley and Milton Haig. So I knew the guys going in. I knew they were quite a strong side, especially their pack. And they really made life difficult for Ireland. And it was 6-0 going in at half time. And I knew walking in at half time, this is, 6-0 is not the way it's meant to be going. We need some tries, we need some play. This is November, stifled. Joe Schmidt waiting at my door for me as you come in off the pitch. You do get worried about the lower score lines. Good refereeing generally goes with higher score lines, but it's not the real truth.
Do you have a conscious effort then when you say at half time and you check the score and it's like 6-3 and you're thinking, right, does it need to be a more free-flowing game, or is it just like, well, I think it's going well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, or...
Yeah, I'm awesome, it's fine, yeah. No, so later in my years, so when I refereed for a long time, I just kind of refereed. I didn't really know what I was doing, even when I was professional. I didn't really have a set plan. I didn't have an agenda of how I was going to help the game. I just turn up and referee. But I think that leads to inconsistent performances. So I would always set myself two or three attainable targets, never more than 3, that I could check at half time that I was doing the right thing. And I always have one of them trying to be accomplished by half time. So the first 3 scrums, I want to engage them with good timing. Something simple like that I can hold on to at half time. Because I can't, if teams are box kicking back and forth, I can't make them stop doing that. Or nor should I change what I'm doing at half time. Any referee to come out and referee totally different in the second half, because that's unfair on the players, because you've set the game the way it is. They just want you to stay there. Good, bad, indifferent. You've half time. Please don't change what you're doing. That would be any player, I guess, would say that. So I always gave myself 2 or 3 reasonable. Am I being tough on a defence when they've had their line breached? So I would very likely give a penalty if a team gave away a 20 or 30 metre line break and they were 1 centimetre offside, I'd hammer them. But if it was just normal phase play and it was a 50-50 call, okay, no problem. But my feeling was, if you've let a team run 60 yards up the pitch, you don't deserve any sympathy. And that was a way of being fair. If you do something brilliant, I can help as a referee. I'm not on your team, but I can help a bit. And I think they'd be certain things I would do at half time. But I had no more control over a team scoring 5 tries as I had them scoring none.
And what about the build-up? That, you know, you're talking about half-time, but we always hear the amount of work that refs have to do before a match, whether it be knowing the players, knowing the teams, knowing the style of play, where they do well, where they might infringe. What did it look like for you, in the build-up to refereeing a match?
So I always thought it was really, really important to know the guys you don't know. Because it's easy to say to Sean on the pitch, Sean, step onside, or Foxy, move back a yard there, and you're going to know these guys. They're around, they're capped, they're Lions, they're, the guys we know. If you're saying to one guy, hey, Danny Kerr, do this, do that, and you're saying to the other guy who's the 4th choice 9 at the Dragons, or whatever it may be, and you don't know his name, well, that's pretty jerkish in my opinion. So either don't use any or use them all. Learn them all or learn none. You would learn scrum tendencies, but you would have to practice really hard that every scrum is a unique event. Sometimes the guy was tired, sometimes he was fresh. Sometimes in the footage he was tired, or sometimes in the footage he was fresh. It's very much, okay, you have these little plans in place, but you don't want to plan that anything that I'm going to do is anything with what a player has done in the past. Because sometimes Foxy has made 8 line breaks in a game, and sometimes he's made none, depending which game I look at. And I remember doing a Leinster game, and they came to me before the game. They said, we looked at 2 of your recent games and we were wondering which refs we're going to have today. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, we saw a Leicester Bath game at Twickenham and you didn't referee the scrums very well. And I was like, yeah, I didn't. That was terrible. And they said, we watched this other game at Worcester and you did the scrums really well. And I went, yeah, that was much better because they kept them off the ground for me. And he goes, well, what are you going to do today? And I said, well, if you guys keep the scrum off the ground, I'll probably do the second one. But if you put it on the first, I might be terrible. So keep the scrums off the ground and keep me out of the game. So that's the kind of way it works a little bit.
Yeah, I think for us, analysing referees as well is actually quite interesting because we look at trends that they have. So JP's talking about something early in the game, whether it might be Romain Poit, for instance, very hot on not rolling away, like within the first 60 seconds of a game. Always. He'll always catch them. He'll always catch someone if they're not rolling away. But the other thing I think as well is from a referee's point of view that they can look at is team trends, how a team is going through the season. Because for me, when I first, let's say, joined London Irish, I think referees thought, well, they're not good at this, they're not good at scrum, they're not good in certain areas. And it actually affected the thought process of the ref before he went into the game. And they can say maybe, and JP, you might actually come in on this because they can say that they don't do that. But you see it firsthand when you're involved and you see, how has that decision gone against us? But it's what has happened in previous games. And there's like a trend. So once, like, I suppose what I try to do now is try to tell the boys, we take the referee out of the equation and be so squeaky clean in all the areas, like breakdown, scrum, line out, maul, all the bits and pieces. But I think it's a tough job. It's a tough job.
Here's a good example. So I was watching the England-Wales game today. And it has nothing to do with a criticism of anyone. It's just a situational and just a look at the psychology of refereeing. The Welsh scrum, the young boy, I should know his name after what I've just said. Sorry, the new young guy scored that beautiful try. The Welsh 9. Yeah. What's his name?
Kieran Hardy.
Kieran had the ball and he got kind of grabbed up by Itoji on the halfway line. 3-5 minutes into the game, really important time. Itoji gets the guy, wraps him up, pulls the ball off him as he's going down. Toji's knees on the ground, the guy's falling. It's literally a 50-50 call. You can say, well, Toji, you've done so well. You've smashed them. You've taken the ball. I don't think the Welsh players would have had too much of a problem at that being a turnover. Technically, it's a penalty. His knee was on the ground. 50-50. What do you want to do? Do you want to call it? Do you want to not call it? Dan Bigger, being Dan, is 3 yards from the ref as normal. Shouts because he's a very, very bright guy. And he obviously good friends with Ben Whitehouse and he knows his law and he's not stupid. He doesn't shout stupid things. But he's quite aggressive when he shouts. And he shouts.
I would not. He does
Pascal.
Shout stupid things now and again.
But he does. And I love going to war with him. I think he's great. I think he's a great guy. He's really difficult to referee. I like the naughty guy. I like the difficult people. I'm difficult, so let's get the difficult people out there. So Itoje rips the ball with his knee just touching the ground, but it's milliseconds. There's nothing in it. Bigger yells, the referee reacts and gives a correct penalty. If Bigger doesn't yell, there's no penalty. If he yells at a different referee, the referee goes, don't yell at me. It just happened to be the psychology of that moment. So all of a sudden, Wales kick down into the 22, win another penalty and kick 3 points and they're 3-0 up in the game. That's the 50-50-ness of refereeing. There's nothing wrong with what Pascal did. There's nothing wrong with what Itoje did or Kieran Hardy, the scrum half. They all did fabulous in what they're doing. But that's a 50-50 call because it could have gone to Wales or it could have gone to England. And because it's on the halfway line, it had a huge, huge impact on the game. The biggest impacts, if you're looking at refereeing, the biggest impacts are the penalties between the 10-metre lines because it either goes into the 22 of one team or into the 22 of the other. And it's not the penalty you give away in the 22 because you're already there. London Irish are already pressing on Worcester, Bath, Leicester, whoever it may be. So they're staying there. It's no big deal. And even if they get out, they're only going back up 30 yards the pitch. It's the 10-metre lines is where you got to look at the big impacts.
JP, thanks so much for your time. We've got a packed out show, otherwise we could talk about this endlessly. But it has been a real pleasure. Good luck with everything going forward.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks,
We'll
JP.
See you all soon.
Cheers.
No worries.
JP. Thank
See
you
you guys. Great seeing you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Well, great to hear from JP there. I said it was a packed out show. We've got another guest coming up. But just before we speak to him, Sean, who would you say in recent times is the best Welsh player to wear that 13 jersey?
He's just got 100 caps at the weekend, hasn't he? He's the best there is at the minute. So I think he's cemented his place in there. Don't really have anyone else at the minute. So
a friend just overshowed
they've an alright 12 at the minute as well. So he's not bad, but.
He's hanging on by his fingernails.
You need a bit of gas at 13, and they certainly have that now with George stuck in there.
I think we should just, that was just meant to be a slight tongue-in-cheek question. You're going to take it way too far and Jonathan Davis is going to leave the call. So let's just say welcome to George North. Congratulations, George. A big day on Saturday for various reasons, but must have been odd running out to an empty stadium, what could have been like a huge celebration.
Yeah, it was really weird. Obviously I had the honour of leading the boys out, and then normally you run down out of the tunnel and into like this wall of noise, and it was just the boys on the bench and our backroom staff clapping. So I was a bit like, I didn't know if I should like wave back or like just put my hands down. It was like the full Talladega Nights moment. So I just just kept my head down, and I think all the boys will know how weird it is at the moment, but especially international level, it's weird not having crowds.
I know there's been presentations for people getting their first caps, but was there like a presentation or a sort of a bit of a celebration that we didn't get to see necessarily? I mean, was something made of it behind the scenes?
There was a cap presentation afterwards that apparently, well, it has got out.
There is a video. There is a video out. Yeah, it's been out of me getting my 100 cap, which is obviously a huge honour. But then the poor people who've watched the video have had to listen to me sing, which isn't very good. But
God.
Sung a song for my 100th, and then I'm sure many people have seen me howl at that one out now. So.
Well, a lot more people will see it now that you've mentioned it on this. So
I will say, George, you're an unbelievable rugby player, but you're a brutal singer.
Song choice was a bit serious. Song choice was serious, I thought, critiquing it. Like I thought, but no, it got the boys going.
I've gone full panic, and I've gone, what will the boys jump in on early just to give you a bit of back in, and it was a bit serious, but at least some boys knew it and then joined in.
What did you sing on your first and 50th?
So on my first, I sang Mr. Brightside.
Good song.
Yeah.
By the Killers.
Good.
Okay.
For my 50th, I sung a song called Lola, because my dog's called Lola, and I went into full panic mode, but no one knew that. That was awkward.
Was that Oasis?
So then I went, no, it's the show, Lola's
the one where it just
one.
keeps repeating.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, that's
that one.
For the 100th?
And then I sung Oasis, Don't Look Back in Anger for my 100th, because I thought at least some boys will know it and will join in.
No subliminal message in that, though.
No. No, it was more the case of blind panic after selection. And I was like, oh, bugger, I've got to sing a song as well, haven't I? That was one of the big pressures as well, is the song.
It's
like,
the most
what can I
stressful
sing?
part, I reckon. Like your first cap, and then when you're 50th, you're more worried about singing after games and functions and stuff.
That's where on your first cap, it's not too bad because you're after having about 15 drinks before you get to sing it.
True. You can't remember what you're saying.
Yeah, the initiation part of your first cap is never good.
No, so luckily the boys jumped in to save the day, but yeah, sorry for my song selection, Fox, but I shall work on that in the future.
No. Well, you will probably need to for your 150th, probably. So.
I'm interested in the COVID cafe. I think apparently you two are running some sort of swizz or something going on in camp. What's happening, Foxy?
So obviously days off, boys enjoying going for a coffee, and obviously none of that's happening at the moment. So we were able to set up a COVID cafe, we call it, and boys can come down in small groups and order a coffee, and George is the barista king, and I'll get some baked goods from a local bakery, Pettigrew Bakery, and we charge them a bit of money, and that money then goes to charity at the end of the camp. So it's on a day off, it's quite a slog, mind. It's surprising how much coffee the boys drink, and to be fair, George has to do it all, because I'm terrible on the coffee machine.
How fancy do we get? I mean, can we have macchiatos and lattes and it works?
Anything you want.
You can have whatever you want. Yeah, anything's possible in the COVID cafe. Foxy is the lovely assistant, the good-looking one in the front, taking the orders and barking them at me. And then I'm normally face down, burning my fingers, making the coffees for the lads. But no, it works quite well, I think.
Is this a cash business, boys, by the way?
It is. We have an iZettle as well. Boys can tap away. No cash. No cash stored in the store overnight.
Loyalty card?
No loyalty in this business. It's just strictly mercenary. But our prices are pretty competitive. And the boys don't complain about the prices, and we get the goods to them. So it's something that breaks the day up, because they can be quite long days in camp on a day off, especially. So yeah, it's working quite well. So yeah, a shout out to Pettigrew Bakery. They keep supplying us with the baked goods. They're keeping the boys smiling, and probably the fat percentage is higher than most teams, to be honest.
Incredible.
Whenever we get Welsh players on, it's just a massive commercial promotion. Ken Owens promoted about 15 things when he was on.
Yeah, he's a walking billboard, isn't he?
Yeah. and he's a future president of the Welsh Rugby Union, so he's trying to market himself. Yeah, he's
chairman. Yeah.
Have you any long-term goals in terms of international caps? Because you're very fit, obviously. You look after yourself extremely well. You're a serious professional, as we all know. You could play for the next 6-7 years easily.
The way I felt on Sunday morning, I don't think I got 6-7 years in me.
You have, trust me.
Game.
If I can do it, you can.
The honest answer is I haven't really got an next goal, really. I thought it's taken me the best part of 10 years to get this one. So I thought I would just have this week to, I guess, to get my body right, refocus, enjoy a 10 years worth of graft, and then I would then refocus then end of the week ready to go again. But to try and go for the most capped Welsh player is difficult, because Alan Wynne keeps playing, which is annoying, so he makes that 10 times harder. And then when you ask him how's he feeling, he always says fresh, so there's no chance of him stopping anytime soon. So the honest answer is I don't know at the moment. I'm just gonna
enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, enjoy this 10 years worth of graph for a couple of days, and then should probably sit down and refocus again then. It's lucky it's a fallow week, so we can get everything back on track. But it's when it's been such a long road, I don't think rugby players do it often enough. We don't look back, and not the song either. We don't look back to see what we've done and to what we've achieved either. So it's quite nice just to have a couple of days to let it sink in, really.
Are you someone, George, that likes stats in terms of, people keep talking about Shane Williams' 58 tries and things like that? You obviously had your 50 caps, your 100 caps. Do stats and records interest you?
I am a numbers man, but that's more of from a performance based. Obviously, I know when I'm at my best, I know what work I've done in the week. So I know when it comes to captain's run and game day, I know pretty much that I've the best prepared I can be. When it comes to records, I don't really think about it. It's more, I guess, a byproduct of the hard work. Do you know what I mean? And then you sort of find yourself in the positions and you think, well, actually, that's quite a good one. That's actually quite cool. So I might focus on, turn that to one of my focus and my goals as well. So, so yes and no is the answer pretty much to that one.
That's all right. What would you say the best game of rugby that you've been involved in has been over the years?
The Lions surely in 2013 is up there for you.
Yeah, there's been a few. I've had Lions 2013 was great. Obviously, first test was something that was pretty special. But the whole series was pretty epic, to be honest. I think my first experience of a World Cup in 2011 was wicked. One game stands out in particular was we played Samoa in the group stages. And,
oh my God. Yeah. That shakes my bones thinking about it, to be honest.
We just lost we lost the first game to South Africa, and then basically we all sort of chipped in and said, look, we've worked far too hard. We've been to Poland twice. We've been knee deep in running in Cardiff, and we all when we came to it, I think we were was it a close second half, or we were down and coming in at half time?
I think we were losing at half time. Yeah, maybe just.
Yeah, we were losing at half time, and then pretty much we all just sort of chirped up and said, look, we've worked far too hard. We've put too many hours in. We've come this far now. We're not losing today. And I remember we came out the second half and we turned the result around. And for me, that was one of the, not one of my favourite games. Well, not the favourite game, but it's one of my favourite games for the fact that, as a team, we all sort of went heads together, even though we got battered, but we managed to dig in as a squad, as a unit. And that, to me, that was something quite special. And I think, as I said, the Lions series was pretty special as well. That as a young man going out there to Australia, and like arguably you could say the perfect story. 1-0, 1-1, down to the last, and then to finish as we did was pretty epic. So.
And a wonderful few days afterwards.
Oh, she was a good one. Yes. She was a good one.
It was mighty crack. So it was.
I presume there's no stories that can be shared from the few days afterwards.
No, we're not past the watershed yet, so...
I don't think anyone remembers it, so it's just as well.
Jonathan, in terms of, and I know it's always awkward when someone asks a question about someone who's sitting in the interview, how would you sum up George as a player? You've obviously known him a long time.
Yeah, so I remember George coming into the Scarlets seniors as an academy player, and he's just taken off from there, and you listen to the way he talks, how much he prepares himself. He's a proper professional, and he gets his reward on the field on a Saturday, and that's why he's played over 100 test matches and 100 test matches for his country. So it's credit to him, the hard work he puts in, and he sets standards for everyone really. I think as a group with us in Wales, we have some players with a lot of caps, but I think those are the boys who are driving the standards for us to get better every day, and George is certainly one of those players, and I'm far happier he's on my team than playing against him, let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's much more eloquent than when Sam Warburton introduced the interview that he did with you, George, on the BBC at the weekend. I think he just said, "Hello, my big sexy centurion," which was disturbing in many ways. Is that how you speak to each other?
Well, first and foremost, cheers, Fox. I'll give you that 50 quid on Thursday.
No worries at all, but no worries at all.
I think Warby has worked out that he was far better at talking than he is Jacqueline. So, and I think he just got a little bit too excited, didn't he? And
he got very excited.
He doesn't get excited too often now, mind you. So it's good that you made him like that, George.
No, he got all giddy and he got all excited. So, but it was nice because obviously Warby, one of my best mates in rugby, and yeah, I think he just got all giddy. I don't know what came over him. Maybe the coffee kicked in or something. I don't know. But
I actually remember I was walking to the paddock at the Monaco Grand Prix a couple of years ago, and it was your stag weekend, and I passed you all, and it was just like The Walking Dead, and he was one of them. And he'd got the day of the Grand Prix wrong. He thought the Grand Prix happened on a Saturday, so he'd booked the flight home on the wrong day or something. It looked just a bit of a mess, but in a good way.
Yeah, my best man Scott had done a very good job of that one. I like my Formula One. I like my racing. I like my cars and motorbikes. But yeah, it was a very long few days, and Sam isn't known for his drinking, and
No.
yeah, he was struggling on through, but he stayed in. But then he said, he made an excuse up or something about he got the day wrong, and then he had something on. So really, I think he just had enough. Like he
tapped out there. He tapped out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, after almost 4 days, he had tapped out.
Can't do that on a stag, lads. You have to stay till the end, and that's it.
He looked like he was at the end. He did look he was at the end, to be fair to him. George, thanks so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure. And I know you're only getting a couple of days at home, so we do appreciate the fact that you've joined us and joined Foxy, who seems to always come on when he's at home to speak to us, and his wife is increasingly angry about this House of Rugby. So this might be his last appearance as well.
I did bath and bed tonight, so I'm on. I've got the pass for this today. So.
Well, good work.
Thanks,
George,
so much.
again. Well done.
Cheers.
Well, we've talked a lot about the Wales-England match. There were, of course, 2 matches at the weekend, and one was postponed. Scotland game, we're still waiting on a date for that one for the moment, but it does seem that this is a story that's going to run and run. And to help us delve a little bit deeper into the story, we can welcome Arnaud David from Sud-West. Arnaud, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Try and enlighten us on the current situation with COVID and the French team.
It's very dark. No. Players are back at home, and they will be tested tomorrow morning, and then Fabien Galtier will give a list of 31 players who will be back at Marcoussis, the cluster, on Sunday evening, and they will prepare for England.
Well, that's
the player situation. And then we have the political situation, which is an inquiry has been asked from the French Federation by the government, by the sports minister, and the results of the inquiry will be given to the minister tomorrow. It will be given Wednesday, and in that type of inquiry, which is an internal inquiry, I think we will discover that no breach, nothing was really wrong.
Okay.
It's hard to comprehend it that nothing was wrong. With everything that's been
they will say yes, that maybe Fabien Galtier, the French coach, has been careless. That but what the experts will say, and they are the 2 experts, medical experts, are doctors, professors from the National Health Council, and they will say that what we call patient zero, the one who contaminated the French squad, was a member of the France 7 squad. So Fabien Galtier will not be responsible, of course, for that mess.
So were the French international team playing or training with the 7 squad at that point?
Yes, on the Thursday before the Ireland match, they train with the guys from the sevens. The guys from the sevens were tested, at Marcoussis. They were living at Marcoussis, but in a different zone, in different area.
Okay.
And and they were tested every 2 days. And before training, they were tested. They were all negative. And the fact is, a lot of them became six of them became positive the weekend after they had to play. They went to Perpignan to prepare for the Madrid 7, and 6 of them were positive, so they had to cancel their participation and at least 3 of them trained against the French team on I think it was the Thursday before they went to Dublin.
Are bars and restaurants open in France at the minute? So let's say where the sevens players were going, where was there any interaction with the public? Like, were they able to go out for dinner or anything like that? No.
It's very difficult to know, because maybe the sevens player were allowed to go back to their family and to come back, and we call it a bubble, but to be honest, and we can comment afterwards on Fabien Galtier and other things, but you've got to realize that for example, the people who are working in Marcoussis, the French center, the French Rugby Center, the cooks, the guys who are doing the cleaning are coming and going. They are going to their homes, they are coming back, and they are not tested every day like the players and things like this. So this is, it's not really a bubble, totally COVID-free.
And I know it is very difficult, isn't it? And this is just the world in which we all live at the moment. And you can try your hardest and you can still end up on the wrong side, and you can, be careless and you can get away with it. That is just the situation. I just wonder how this has been thought of within the French media, the news, the French public. What are they saying about it?
The French public, the response of the media, the newspapers, and they have been very, very critical of the French Rugby Union. Bernard Laporte is not the most popular president of the French Rugby Union, and this whole mess, looked really bad. And and we can call it a mess. And in 2 weeks, they've really damaged the image, the narrative, which has been going on since the last year, since Fabien Galtier took over, and the French public, they were really supportive of and really liked that team, which was doing very well on the pitch, and there was such an expectation on France doing well again, and we liked everything about this team, and and not only did they play well, but you felt that they were trying to implement a culture, something new, and suddenly, I won't say it's destroyed, but it's damaged. It's damaged because, the coach, the president have been careless. We all know now that Fabien Galtier was careless, went to see his son playing after the Italy game, and maybe it's not the only time that he went away from Marcoussis. But for example, the team traveled to Rome in a private with a private flight, but Bernard Laporte, the president, he traveled on a normal flight to Rome, and he spoke with people. He took a coffee with people in the airport, and then went to the hotel where the players were, and maybe didn't wear a mask, when he was in the hotel, and all these things. So
I think that's one of the things that's upsetting people, is the arrogance of maybe Bernard Laporte, and the way he came out and said as well about Fabien Galtier, about like, oh, he did nothing wrong. You know, he went to his son's game. What's wrong with that? He wore a mask, etc. And like, this is not just an easy fix or a small problem. I suppose globally it's a massive problem at the minute, and that's what probably people are so offended by at the minute, the lack of respect towards COVID-19 from his point of view. And just as you've said,
you're totally right. I can only agree with you. I can only agree with you. That's the attitude of Bernard Laporte. He's got there are good things about him, and unfortunately there are bad things. And that type of denying of arrogance and saying no, we're not guilty is one of the bad thing about him.
And maybe it's, I was going to say naive, but maybe we've gone all a bit harder and we can use arrogance. But even the posting of the social media video in the changing rooms as well, as you say, Arnaud, it's all about the optics. It's all about perception. And broadcasters aren't allowed to have television cameras in the changing rooms in case people accidentally do something. But the fact that video was put on social media of the celebrations after they beat Ireland just seemed a very basic mistake.
It's a basic mistake, but you've got to admit that these guys, they have been in contact with other players for 80 minutes. They've been pushing together in scrum for 80 minutes, so they can have a beer and shot together for another 10 minutes. I mean, we've got to live in a real world. I mean, it's something I fear. I won't blame them for that.
No,
maybe
but I think
maybe it's yes. Come on.
On the weekend, there was a video. It was actually leaked from inside our change rooms where the George North has his 100th cap presentation and he sings a song, and there's a big circle of people. Probably not social distancing, and we were upset that got out there, and it's not ideal. We didn't, we're trying to adhere to social rules, and I get where boys are going to celebrate behind closed doors, but I think posting it on your social media account was, but from the French rugby, was a bit, like you said, naive, because everyone is going through tough times at the moment, and whatever goes on behind those closed doors maybe should have stayed behind those doors in the change rooms. But hindsight is a wonderful thing, to be honest, and it does happen, like you said, probably more so than it should.
And it's the least of the worries
right,
in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Arnaud, thank you so much for your time. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Hopefully there'll be an England-France match in a couple of weeks, and then eventually a Scotland-France match as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arnaud.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So we've had a little bit of an international tour tonight, albeit from the comfort of our own homes or a hotel, which is the glamorous backdrop that I have, in case anyone's wondering why I have a sign on a very strange door. Foxy, what does your week look like? You've got a weekend off, and then what? Just a Grand Slam to look forward to?
Well, first and foremost, I think this week will be, there's still a lot of work done. They'll work us hard these weeks. They always love making sure they get plenty of run into us, and then look forward to the Italy game. And we can't look any further forward than that. They put up a fight, but we just got to make sure that we prepare well. And there's a good buzz around the boys. There's a bit of confidence growing, but I think that can't become complacency. So, enjoy the weekend off, and then back to business. Then, who you got, Seánie? Who have you got this weekend?
You're being nice and humble, in fairness. If you put out your 4 team against Italy, you'd beat them at the minute. So I don't think
the 4th team might include me. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, you could be playing 13. You could be back playing 13, and good news.
Yeah. Who you got, Seánie?
What have you got?
We have Leicester on Friday night, so it'll be another tough one for us. And they're after having a couple of good runs at the minute, and they're on the way back up a little bit, and good squad and away in their place, so it'll be tough tough.
It all gets very sort of sound bites when we do these bits, when we start asking about, like, you know, London, Irish or Wales. It all gets very proper.
We're building something. You can't give away all the secrets.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. It's been a busy old show, but we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks very much to you for listening, for watching, and we'll do it all again next week. Bye bye.
You've been watching The House of Rugby Season 3 on Joe.